Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. I think we all have the experience with maybe a friend or two where we can go a really long time before connecting, and when we sit down and have a conversation, it feels like no time has passed. I'm hoping that we can all leverage that when we come out of this pandemic chaos, that we haven't seen some of our best friends in a long time. And you know those friends that the moment you reconnect, it will just feel like riding a bike. And I actually had an opportunity to connect with one of these people in my life, my cousin Kip. We were like inseparable growing up. And then as we grew older, we kind of went our own separate ways. We've never lived in the same state ever, but we've been further and further away from each other. And right before the craziness of March 2020 hitting, I had an opportunity to sit down with him, and it was like no time had passed. And honestly, it was probably close to 20 years in between the last time we saw each other and hung out. And I tell you this because there are certain people in our lives that just draw out the best in us. And there's a concept that Richard Rohr talks about. Basically, in his book, The Universal Christ, he starts a passage with, "They made me do it." And it just hooked me. They made me do it. And he goes on to explain that the reality of the people in our lives is not that we love them out of some inherent goodness inside of us. It's that these connections are so deep. They're so there's an inner beauty in this connection to certain people with vulnerability, or sharing some life opportunities, or just even the refreshing conversations we can have, that it draws love out of us. Again, these connections with other people make us do it. Colossians 3:12 through 14 says to clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. It says to bear with each other and forgive one another, just as the Lord has forgiven you. And all of these virtues, or above all of these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. This is the connection that draws love out, right? Like, if somebody presents these things, compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, it draws us out, the best in us, and they made me do it. Richard Rohr goes on to talk about this concept of our faith oftentimes has been misunderstood as something that corrects us, that we need to be corrected, and that Jesus coming and dying for our sins was a way for us to be corrected. And he said, no. If you read the meta-narrative of the Bible and you consider things like compassion, kindness, humility, there's no fix people, tell them where they're wrong. That doesn't show up in that verse at all. It's more about Christ coming here, dying on the cross so that we could be connected. Not corrected, but connected. And that's why these relationships, these key friendships in our lives draw out the best in us, is because we are designed to be connected more than we are designed to be corrected. Rohr goes on to explain kind of a concept. He said it's kind of like electricity, that all of us have this electricity running through us because we all have God inside of us. And unfortunately, our sin and our brokenness kind of flips that breaker. It creates a disconnect between this flow between other people. And when we have these moments, when we sit down and connect, when I sat down with my cousin in the city of Vail, it was a perfect surrounding for sure, but sat and had a burger and just talked, there was this restoration. It was almost like there was a power outage in that relationship. And when we sat down, the power got flipped back on. And in good, healthy relationships, ones that are full of compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience, it's almost that refreshing feeling we get when the power comes back on after a power outage. Not the kind of feeling we get when it's pitch black and somebody shines a flashlight in your face. That's more like, that feels like corrected, right? But good relationships draw us out, and they give us this energy and this flow just like electricity. And so Richard Rohr really kind of challenges us in our faith of what kind of Christian are we going to be? What kind of Christ follower are we going to represent? And when we're out in the world, we want to be the type of people that they could point to us and say, he made me do it. Like, or she made me do it. The life that you live is so electrically charged, so magnetic, so connected to God, and that when connecting with you, it's this refreshing feeling of the lights being turned back on. So this week in your faith, as we move away from the Easter series or the Easter season, I guess, pay attention to how connected you are. The more disconnected we are, the more energy we lose. But pay attention to how you can connect with others or the people in your life that when you're connected to them, they draw the best out of you. This week in your faith, connect with others in some way, shape, or fashion, and make sure that your life is always connected to the power source so that you can be giving your best into this world. Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.